They've left their lives behind them. It's a long road to southern Gaza. No one knows when they'll be able to go home, if their home will still exist. Ahid and his pregnant wife have fled and then fled again and again. They've just finally arrived in Khan Yunis, but not everyone who was with them made it.
A man carried my wounded wife on his shoulders because I couldn't. When he reached the Israeli forces, they asked him to kneel down. They forcibly removed his clothes, leaving my wife alone. She screamed for an hour and a half. They arrested the man, along with 40 others.
The family head to the overcrowded European hospital. Asma has suffered a brain hemorrhage following an Israeli strike near their home as she was returning from buying bread. The Israeli army say some Hamas fighters are trying to slip south too. They claim to have killed hundreds, including key commanders. You wonder how anyone is left alive in Gaza City. Doctors in al-Shifa hospital are fighting to save the lives of 36 premature babies taken out of incubators that are no longer running due to a lack of fuel. 3 others died over the weekend. I spoke on the phone to a surgeon in the hospital.
Okay, we are trying to heat them, all right, not to get hypothermic. We contacted the ICRC to coordinate these babies to be taken to Egyptian hospital, but we are awaiting any sort of coordination because it is not a proper place for them to place in this condition. And today we are performing some of the surgery on the light of our mobile phone.
Israel accuses Hamas of hiding its headquarters beneath al-Shifa. Today it released a video, it says, showing a fighter with a rocket-propelled grenade launcher close to another Gaza hospital. Hamas might well be hiding amongst the civilian population, but to many, the mass Israeli strikes look like collective punishment. This, the aftermath of a bombing in Khan Yunis, where so many have fled to. Children crying out in pain, children trying to care for their mother. There are moments of relief too, even if they're tempered by suffering. Iman is meeting her daughter for the first time since the war began, after fleeing from the north. What was it like, she's asked. It's death, she replies. Slow death. Death is everywhere right now in Gaza. One by one, the body bags are brought out. 8 members of an extended family. What words of comfort can soothe this pain? A question in her eyes. What fresh tragedies will tomorrow bring? Well, in the last few minutes, we've had reports coming in of a large and deadly airstrike on the Jabalia camp in northern Gaza, with at least 30 people killed. When you speak to people here in Israel, though, you get a very different picture. They feel frustrated by what they feel is too much of an international focus on events in Gaza. They say that the horrific events of the October 7th attack by Hamas has been too quickly forgotten, that there's not enough public sympathy for the fate of the Israeli hostages, the 239 people, including children and babies, that were taken to Gaza. This is a country that is united behind this war, and in the last few minutes, actually, a picture has emerged on social media of Israeli forces inside Gaza's parliamentary building. But at the same time, Israeli officials are quite open in saying that at some stage, international pressure, international anger over the level of civilian casualties in Gaza is going to become too much, and they're going to have to agree to at least reduce the intensity of their assault. And underlining the scale of humanitarian need right now, the UN agency responsible for distributing aid in Gaza has said it's run out of fuel and it can't access any more fuel because of Israel's blockade. One final quick point to mention: don't take your eyes off Israel's northern border with Lebanon. clashes with Hezbollah have been escalating there, both sides still acting with a degree of restraint, but it does seem like that front has the potential to become much more dangerous.
Secunda, thanks very much. Well, we are joined now from Amman by Jordan's Deputy Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister, Ayman Safadi. Minister Safadi, can I just begin by asking you, the Jordanian King Abdullah was at this extraordinary summit of Arab and Muslim leaders at the weekend, but beyond coming together to condemn the war, in truth, there was nothing concrete that might bring it to an end.
Good evening. I think what should bring this war to an end is a unified global position, consistent with international law, consistent with our common human values, to say that Israel has crossed every ethical, humanitarian, and legal line in this war. The Arab Muslim Summit, was a joint session by the Organization of Islamic Organization and the Arab League, came together in saying this war must stop. International community must hold its responsibility and act together to stop this war. Yes, we did not rise to the expectations of the people, not because we did not want to, but because what are you going to do in the face of this ruthless war that Israel is launching in defiance of the will of the international community, as was manifested by the General Assembly vote. So we're all trying our best to come together and stop what can be very confidently now described as genocide. But Israel is not listening to its allies, not listening to anybody who's telling them that what you're doing is pure madness that will engulf this whole region in a wave of hatred that will haunt generations to come.
I mean, you, of course, are very, very familiar with the Israeli government's argument. They have been quite clear until they have, in their words, destroyed Hamas in Gaza, so that it is never again capable of launching the sort of massacre that was seen on the 7th of October. This will not stop.
Define how are they going to destroy Hamas? They're not destroying Hamas, they're destroying Gaza. They're destroying the livelihood of millions of people. And I think the images that you just showed on your screen speak more eloquently than any of us could even attempt to describe the enormity of the crimes that Israel is committing in its war. Hamas is people, is fighters, but Hamas is an idea. You cannot bomb an idea out of existence. The only way to make sure that what happened does not happen again is to really take a deep pause and ask, why are we in this place? And to convince the Palestinian people that they do have a future of freedom, of dignity, of statehood, and Hamas is standing between them and between that future.
In terms of moving this forward right now, movement on the hostages issue might make progress, mightn't it? 239 Israelis and people of many nationalities held in Gaza by Hamas.
Look, everybody is working around the clock to ensure the release of hostages. That's a position that we all in the Arab world have taken. Qatar and Egypt are working around the clock to make sure that this happens. Israel also has to appreciate that what it's doing is simply destroying the livelihood of 2.3 million Gazans. And I think it's just incomprehensible, and I do not know by which standard it is acceptable for Israel to continue to kill civilians, destroy schools, destroy hospitals, and link that to the release of hostages. All of us want hostages released, but at the same time, we want this war to stop, because that war is simply killing people. 11,181 Palestinians.
Sorry to cut across you. We haven't got much time. The Israeli government is quite clear that it intends, as it sees it, until it has destroyed Hamas, to keep this going. It is very difficult, therefore, to talk about any sort of end game, given where we are. But after this, how do you envisage Gaza being governed? And is there an argument, would the Jordanians take part in that governance at any stage?
First of all, we'll have to know what kind of Gaza we're talking about when this Israeli war ends. The way this war is going, it's going to turn Gaza into a complete rubble, with people having even no access to medicine or fuel to keep babies on incubators, as your report have just said. Beyond that, I think we should all go back to asking the question, why has this conflict continued to evade a solution? The answer is because occupation, which is the source of all evil, continue to exist. Our vision is the vision we've been saying for years. A region of peace. The path to that peace is a two-state solution that will fulfill Palestinians' rights to freedom and statehood and address Israel's security concern. What we want is a region of peace. And for that to happen, occupation has to end, Palestinian rights have to be fulfilled so that Palestinians and Israelis live in peace in an area that have seen enough wars and enough destruction that prove that wars will not solve the issue, only peace will.
Minister, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Jordanian Foreign Minister Ayman Safadi, thank you.